Emmanuel Amunike has scored for Nigeria. Goal that wins the first ever footballing gold medal for Nigeria. Joshua,
to continue their impressive run so as to place Edo State in the continental map.
Toby Amazon, look at the clock. I cannot believe it. She's done it again. 2 world records in one night. And she makes history by becoming Nigeria's first world champion.
Alex Iwobi decides to go early. Chukwueze shapes the shoot, gets some spaces. Osimhen.
Yes, the doors from Nigeria sport performance at the Paris 2024 Olympics is yet to settle with calls for the resignation of the Honorable Minister of Sport, and some persons also have completely exonerated the Sports Federation as well as the NOC. Which way Nigerian sports? The question to ask at this time, are we truly on the right track to ensure that the things we saw in Paris becomes a thing of the past? My name is Matthew Kugwe saying welcome once more. The show is Sportsville and we are set to go. We are set to talk sports just the way it should be, and we are so excited. The start of a new football season in Europe. The fans of Manchester United, Chelsea, as well as Man City, there will be several pulsating action from this weekend. Started yesterday to be precise. The Gladiators are here in the studio. We have Tony Ubani, Raymond, and the ever delectable. You missed her last week, and I must tell you, now she's back in the studio. I'm talking of 5-time Olympian Bose Kafo. We'll continue looking at the fallout from Nigeria's performance at the Olympics and the way forward. We do a breather at this time, and when we return, we roll tape proper. Stick around.
Keep watching Sportsville.
Yes, we are super excited to be back. If you just joined us, the show is Sportsville. You haven't missed much because we are just getting started. Tony Ubani is in the studio. Tony, the big man. I say it with all emphasis. Tony is a big man. Tony, it feels good to have you back.
Yeah, thank you so much, Matthew. I must for once, respond that indeed I'm a big man because I'm living. And I'm not passing the buck, like what we're saying from the ministry, passing the buck to the Nigeria Olympic Committee, those ones passing the buck either to the federations, federations passing the buck to athletes. Matthew, it's an interesting thing. And today we'll just look at it holistically and indeed tell you, to who to hold responsible, for the shame that happened in Paris 2024 Olympics.
Yes, and one man that is mostly interested about the figures, 12 billion, 8 billion, down the drain. Raymond is in the studio. Raymond, feels great to have you back.
Yeah, always good to be here on Sportsville. It is weird to be on a day like this. A lot of things to talk about, a lot of interesting things. I'm very, very disappointed with what happened at Paris 2024. I'm not going to pass the buck, but of course, I'm going to hit those who need to be hit as far as, sports, development is concerned. They are developing nothing. I'm seeing failure all around. And that's why I want the presidency to keep watching and, of course, acting on what we see on Sportsville.
Yes, and Bosse Kafo is also back. She was away last week when the Olympics ended, and Bosse is here. Bosse, feels good to have you back.
It's nice coming back. It's not a shameful thing. I won't say that we were never ready to win a medal yet. And then many things will come up. And I believe that we will be here to say what we need to say. Yes,
interesting. Tony, let me start with you. I would like us to focus more on the ways forward. We know all that has transpired, but at this time, we must begin to chart a new course for Nigerian sports. What are we expected to do at this time, and who are those that should give way for Nigerian sports to move forward?
Matthew, I listened to the sports minister, John, and, trying as much as possible, to exonerate himself, absolve himself from blame. And truly, I must confess that there is not too much blame to be on the minister, because this minister we're talking about, it's not up to a year in the office. If there is any problem with me with the minister, it's a problem of being too enthusiastic, just jumping the gun and being deceived into making, letting Nigerians believe that Team Nigeria was going to win medals. John had never attended an Olympics before. And honestly, I don't think he has attended even before he became the minister. So coming in as a minister at a time like that and begin to follow everybody to talk that Nigeria is going to surpass Atlanta 1996, I think that is where I fault him. But as for every other thing, I think that the man met what he met, and true to his type, welfare of the athletes was uppermost in his mind, and I think he did that to the best of his knowledge. For the first time in an Olympics, there were no scandals about allowances were not paid, grants were not paid, and all those things. But then I think John, as the supervising ministry, should indeed, take the blame, because in football, when the result goes bad, it is the coach that takes responsibility. John, should take responsibility, but wholeheartedly, we all know that him as a minister, there was nothing that he did wrong, for him to take the blame. But responsibility has placed it on him to take that blame as sports minister for Team Nigeria's abysmal outing in Paris.
Tony, before we come to Bosse to give us another side to this, Raymond, what's your take? What is the way forward at this time? The minister has always talked about that this time heads would roll.
Maybe, I don't need to think too long to come up with a solution. And I think I mentioned it last week on Sportsville here. I hope the presidency is listening to us. Otherwise, this lamentation will continue every year, every Olympic year, every major championship. It is obvious now that the federations have failed us. I'm not going to castigate the minister here, because at least there has been that. It gives us information, it tells us updates. We saw the deliberate attempts he was making to make sure that things were okay. Talk about monies due the athletes. Perhaps my only worry is that it came late, because when you give money to athletes at a competition's venue, that is enough to distract them. And by the way, some of the athletes may not have liked the fact that they got $5,000 and all of that out of almost how many billions that came out from the federal government. So that is for Okon. He should remain there as the minister. At least has shown that he's open to, he's free with what is going on. We see him, he doesn't rush, doesn't, avoid the media. But for the federations, apart from the wrestling federation, and maybe the troubled Nigerian basketball federation, which I would say should be giving some breather, all the federations should give way. The likes of Kua, my brother in Delta, I think those guys are tired. They feel they are cowboys, they are superstars, they are untouchable. Till date, I've not heard a proper apology for the Athletics Federation of Nigeria. What is Omo Osage doing in boxing? Because he won't holding brief for the boss of the Nigerian Boxing Federation that we hardly see. Minima has been there for several years. You don't see him. So what manner of president is that we have in the federation? Why wouldn't there be drug use? Why wouldn't the secretary of the federation, what's his name? The gangling man there, the secretary. Why will he not, approve the sack of a coach who we know has been very active as far as boxing is concerned?
On the eve of the Olympics.
On the eve of Olympics, you sack a coach. I mean, we don't need to investigate for too long. That was, deliberate, how do you call it? Deliberate
sabotage.
Deliberate effort to sabotage Nigeria boxing. Why wouldn't there be drug use? Who was in charge? Who are the coaches related with the boxers? What's their track record? And what about the NOC president himself? What's his name? Abu Gumel. He's been there for as long as I've been in journalism. I'm telling you, but you wouldn't get anything positive from him. It's neither here nor there. Who does he inspire? We need men that can inspire people. We don't want liars. We don't want people who are hiding and pretending to love Nigeria more than the rest of us. These guys have failed Nigeria and the presidency to sack them. If you don't sack them, it will remain like this. I rest my case, Matthew.
Wow, interesting, Raymond. And let's come to Bosse. Bosse, the NOC have completely exonerated themselves. They said paucity of funds and late release of funds, you understand, plummeted Nigeria's performance at the Olympics.
Well, to start with, I was pondering on sport governance and sport politics and sport policies. And I realized that we were either never inside any. But this is where I want to start with. We are talking about the NOC exonerated themselves. What are the responsibility of the NOC? What are the responsibility of the IOC towards the NOCs? Are there any body monitoring the interaction or interconnection between the two? Yes, no. But I want to look at this, the liability of the ministry. You need to have sport liability, understand the legality of who you are and how you will function and give responsibility. The responsibilities will go to the IF, the international federations. So the federations are the ones that will have to carry out the ethic of the sport, the rules, the regulation, the luxury factors, but are we really monitoring them? If we are, then the minister cannot come and tell somebody like me that he is taking blame or somebody want to put a blame on him. No, he has to, for me, he has nothing. Just to say that, okay, we fail, I failed to do this. Legal. Liability. You take that because you failed to actually know the responsibility of the federation and the NOC. So, but for me, changing the minister or not, it is nothing to call for. Yeah, we need to face it. 4 years ago, what happened? 8 years down the road, what happened?
Was the minister there then?
Was the minister there then? So, we still have athletes that you are circulating. You are still running them, turning them. And that is where the legality will come. And I am not here.
Before you even continue,
yeah.
It's alarming, that an integrity officer of the IOC is a Nigerian, and she is Bosse Kafu, a Nigerian, a 5-time Olympian, somebody that should have been absorbed in the team Nigeria.
Yes.
Of course, to guide and of course to guide
and show direction.
And yes, that's how we are. That's how we are, because nobody thinks that she's anybody. And that's why they did not carry somebody like this that will impact on Team Nigeria.
Interesting, away from one professional, let's also at this time hear from another who is away from this country, from the country at this time. We head up straight to the US, where former Nigerian track and field athlete Charlton Ehizuelen joins the show live. Charlton, a pleasure having you join us on Sportsville this afternoon.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, Charlton, I believe you closely followed Team Nigeria's performance at the recently concluded Paris 2024 Olympics. How will you react to our poor outing at the event?
Well, the problem is the foundation. When you have a foundation that is solid, it's sort of like a blueprint. You can always build on top of that solid foundation. You know, Governor Bumudia of the Midwestern state actually provided Nigeria with a blueprint that we could have followed. You know, when we were competing, we had a lot of us made the Olympic Games because we had a blueprint that was solid. Like you have a house that doesn't have a solid foundation. That's the problem with Nigerian sports. Nigeria is one of the most talented countries in the world, and yet has been poorly managed in all sectors, especially in sports. You know, right now what's going on in Paris is as a result of what wasn't done many years back. You don't expect athletes to do well when psychologically they are not mentally ready. You know, and the setup is not encouraging enough. Most of our athletes are leaving Nigeria to compete for other countries and then doing well over there. The foundation of our sports development in Nigeria is not solid. That's one big problem. And in order for us to change that, we have to be able to reorganize and renew our minds about sports development in Nigeria. Sport is one of the most attractive platforms in the world. And Nigeria does not understand that sports can help change the economic position of Nigeria with regards to the youth of Nigeria. You know, we're not taking it seriously. We just think sport is just a physical education thing. It's a big business. It's a big attraction. It's a platform that brings the world together. The Olympic Games is nothing but an international, it's a world sports festival. Just like we have National Sports Festival in Nigeria. That's what the Olympic Games is all about. Bring the whole nation together culturally. They meet, they compete, they get to interact with one another, and it continues. You know, Nigeria has one of the greatest potential in sports development in the world, but we've been we engage in poor management systems, and that is the biggest problem we have.
Yes, finally, before I let you go, a quick one. There have been calls from several Nigerians, a long-time plan, a short-time projection. What will your advice be? What should we be doing at this time to ensure that in another 8 years, 10 years, 12 years down the line, we begin to stand up and also be counted as some of the nations that really truly are prepared for major international events?
I remember during the time of Goodluck Jonathan as president of Nigeria, he had challenged all the governors in Nigeria to produce one gold medal in the Olympic Games. And they had that was a challenge. The challenge should start with the local governments. Then secondary schools. Why do we have secondary schools? You know, secondary school is a platform for many things, sports included. Inter-house sports in Nigeria should be encouraged. You know, like the principals of schools should be given an incentive, giving goals on how they can produce athletes, in not just in track and field, in all sports. And the governors of Nigeria, governors in each state should take pride in developing sport in their states, because when you spend money in sports, you are actually investing in young people in that country. And not only that, they do well. It promotes the image of Nigeria. It makes. I mean, look at Brazilians are known for soccer, you know, and you have the Kenyans known for long distance races, the Ethiopians long distance races, you know, and America is known for basketball, baseball, football, all of that. What is Nigeria known for in sports? We used to be known for boxing, track and field. Today is not the case. So my advice would be that the governors across the nation put a portion of that money into sports development for your state. Encourage the principals of schools to get involved in sports development. I'm looking at it from a point where secondary schools should encourage inter-house sports, like we did when we were competing. That will give opportunity for anyone and everyone who wants to participate in sports. And that's how you can develop talent. Invest in sports infrastructures. Communities around Nigeria should look at the communities and say, okay, we can build this and build that. But it won't happen unless the state governors are encouraging schools, they're encouraging communities to get involved in sports development. That's what we need to be doing. We need to encourage the development of sports because our young people they're hungry. They need something to do.
Yes, former Nigerian track and field athlete Charlton Hizwele. Thanks for your time with us on the show. We say all the best.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day. Thank you.
It's now less than 3 weeks before the Super Eagles' very first game en route to qualify for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. But as we speak, the Eagles still await a new gaffer since the resignation of former coach Finidi George. We are still here. We spoke about this last week, the week before. Another week, the Eagles are still without a coach. Tony Ubani, let's dwell on this quickly. What exactly are the issues?
I must confess that I've run out of ideas or comments about the non-employment of a technical advisor for the Super Eagles. The Nigerian Football Federation have failed woefully. They have failed Nigerians, in all rounds, because they do not keep to their words. And if indeed, that an organization as high as the Nigerian Football Federation cannot keep to their words, I think there is no other disappointment that is worse than that. Severally, we have had the Nigerian Football Federation using the word soon, very soon. There will be a coach this week. There will be a coach next week. It has come up like this. I think the people have run out of ideas. They do not know what they do.
And Raymond, at this time, Austin Eguavon takes the saddle as the interim gaffer of the Super Eagles, as the head of the technical department of the NFF. Is this not a setback from a team that played at the finals of the last AFCON?
With the NFF, everything is possible. With the NFF, you never can be certain of what's going to happen. With this interim thing you mentioned now, there was not a direct statement from the Nigerian Football Federation.
Yes.
So it's all about speculations here and there. That's what our football has turned to. I've said in this NFF board, I don't have confidence. I don't have any trust in them. But because one is in Nigeria, you naturally want your country to do well in international football. But you don't do well just because you are in Nigeria. You don't do well because you are putting on green, white jerseys. And Benin Republic is just a matter of weeks from now, handled by a very dangerous opponent, so to say. Talking about Gennett Raw, a coach we all criticize here as not good enough. I was among those who say Gennett Raw should go because we are not enjoying his football. But of course, it is worse now for our football after Gennett Raw. Eguavon was there when our Eagles team was also not playing well. The NFF are opting or most likely to opt for Eguavon because they don't have an option. As Tony has said, no money, the last division, the same NFF board has said, nobody can come out to say and defend any policy, any decision they take. So I'm very worried about it all, and I will not shed tears for the NFF. I've always told people, please, beside Nigeria, love another team. Adopt another team. That's why I've gone on, moved on with the likes of Cote d'Ivoire, with the likes of Cameroon, because there's a proper organization in those places. Maybe I will join Benin Republic too, because they are busy training, they're preparing with their home-based players, and our league has not kicked off. Nobody knows when things will happen in Nigeria. And Benin comes to the stadium in Uyo, Prince Gospel Aquabio Stadium, a terrain that Gennett Raw is very, very familiar with. Yes. We're not certain of who is going to be in charge. We're not certain of who is going to be invited. We don't know who is going to invite the players, and we don't know who is who as far as the Nigerian team is concerned. Will Sima and the rest of them be available this time around? We don't know. Quite unfortunate, just because we have an NFF that is not serious and deserve not to be in charge of our football.
Yes, the coming days are promised to be very, very interesting as we await an official communication from the Nigeria Football Federation on appointing a new gaffer or an interim boss for the men's senior national team, the Super Eagles. We are doing a breather at this time, and when we return, we'll be talking the CAF Champions League. Nigeria's clubs in the continent begins their campaign this weekend. Stick around.
Keep watching Sportsville.
Yes, our top teams in the Nigeria Professional Football League, Rangers International, Remo Stars flies Nigeria's flag in the CAF Elite Clubs competition. Precisely the CAF Champions League, the preliminary rounds kickstarts this weekend. Today to be Remo Stars playing against AS FAR, as well as Enugu Rangers filing out against Kilimanjaro. A team they should be able to beat home and away, because both games would be played at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium.
Yeah, big games. They are clearly Nigeria's best clubs at the moment. Rangers International, champion of Nigerian Premier League. For a long time, they've been itching to get closer. Now everything seems okay for them. Good management, a good coach in Fidelis Ilechiku, the head coach, who who's going to the continent for the third time. Remember, it was MFM, it was at Plateau United at a point, and now this is the third one. Thursday, he was sounding confident when they arrived to you for this game. My worry is, why wouldn't you do something about the great Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium? It's a shame that a big club like Rangers International, even though they are playing this first leg, the one of today, as an away team, they will be the one to host the same club at the same venue. Something needs to be done about our venues, about our facilities. Academy yesterday played at Remo Stadium just because our national stadium in Abuja was substandard, or it's substandard. Besides, we don't even need to talk about how it is in Maiduguri, their main ground, their main venue. So these are worries. These are my worries. Otherwise, when we play at home, our teams will feel at home when it is a proper Champions League or CAF Confederation Cup game. We are borrowing. We are just struggling to be alive. We are just pretending. Not good enough. For Remo Stars, I expect them to win today against a team that eliminated them in the CAF Confederation Cup.
Yes.
Association Sportive Forces Amidi Royal of Morocco. It's a serious-minded team, and I hope Remo Stars will not take them for granted. I hope they'll get a good result, and I also pray too that before the next stage of the competition, the errors spotted on that stadium, Remo Stadium, would have been corrected so that CAF will give them the go-ahead, and I hope they will continue in the competition. I wish them well, Rangers, and of course, Remo Stars, and I hope anyone will do well when they begin the CAF Confederation Cup.
Yes, absolutely. Time is slowly running out, but we'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll be signing out at the other side. Yes, the top game today, Chelsea up. Acid test for Chelsea that kickstarts their campaign in the English Premier League against an informed Manchester City side. Remember, the conversation continues on all our social media platforms. I remain Matthew Okugbe. We'll see you next week for another show. Bye for now.
Emmanuel Amunike has scored for Nigeria. Goal that wins the first ever footballing gold medal for Nigeria.
To continue their impressive run to place Edo State in the continental map.